Did you know that this Eminem anthem samples a song by a queer black singer-songwriter and poet? His name is Labi Siffre, and although you may not know it, he's responsible for some of the most recognizable songs of the 20th century. Welcome back to Yesterqueers. My name's Amanda, and I'm a public historian who talks about queer history on the internet. Labi Siffre was born June 25th, 1945 in West London, the fourth of 5 brothers. According to Siffre, he had his life plan sorted out before he'd even finished middle school. He knew he was gay by the time he was 4. By age 11, he'd resolved to find his soulmate and live happily ever after with him. And by age 13, he knew that he was going to be a musician. By all accounts, he had a happy childhood, but Siffre said he also grew up very wary of the world. He felt like an outsider from a very early age and knew that being black, gay, an atheist, and an artist in England was going to be an uphill battle, to say the least. Siffre wrote his first song in 1963 when he was 18 years old, and the next year he did indeed meet his soulmate, Peter John Carver Lloyd. The two would remain together for 48 years, and in the mid-90s they were joined in their relationship by Rudolf Cornelis Arnoldus van Bardwick. The three of them had 16 wonderful years together, living halfway up a mountain in the Welsh countryside. I cannot get over how cute this picture is. In 1969, fed up with what Siffre called the uncivilized racism and cruelty of heterosexuals in the UK, Siffre and Lloyd moved to Amsterdam, where he started playing in a folk club. A tape of one of his sets made it to a music producer in England, which led to a record deal. Siffre released 6 albums between 1970 and 1975, moving effortlessly across genres from acoustic folk to funk groove to dance tracks. Several of his songs cracked the top 20 in the UK, but sales weren't amazing, and his genre bending, which he prided himself on, was increasingly a problem for his label. They wanted him to narrow his focus to just one genre so they could market him more effectively, and he was getting tacit pressure to be less open about his sexuality. Siffre wasn't interested in doing either of those things. He didn't release another song until Something Inside So Strong in 1988, a hit in the UK that was inspired both by a documentary he saw about apartheid in South Africa and his struggles as a gay black man. He put out a couple more albums in the 90s and published several volumes of poetry, but Siffre hasn't reached the level of success that his enormous talent would warrant. The racism and homophobia that he faced in the music industry was real and brutal, but Siffre also says that he went into it very naive, assuming that the business would be run by musicians and that writing great songs would be enough. He says philosophically now that you can't really blame a rattlesnake for biting you. Siffre is also quite shy and admits that he's never been success-driven. In an interview with Rolling Stone last month, he said, "I'm not good at self-promotion, putting myself forward. I always believed in the songs, and because I'm not very pushy, I kind of thought to myself, well, one day someone will notice." And they did. When Dr. Dre originally approached Siffre for rights to a song called I Got The, Siffre denied him because he thought Eminem's writing was lazy. In a 2022 interview with The Guardian, he said, "I got pissed off with the slurs because it's just lazy, cowardly writing. It wasn't the language that bothered me. What I cared about was him attacking the oppressed rather than the culprits." He denied Dr. Dre all rights until the lyrics were rewritten, but he failed to stipulate that they needed to be rewritten in all versions. So Siffre only signed off on the radio play version, not realizing that the one with the original lyrics would go on the album. Siffre's music has been sampled by Eminem, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Miguel, and his songs have been covered by everyone from Rod Stewart to Madness to Kellis to Greta Van Fleet. His anti-apartheid anthem has been performed on some of the biggest stages in the world. Peter passed away in 2013 and Rude in 2015, but Labi Siffre is still very much alive. He's working on a new album, and you can hear his song Crying, Laughing, Living, Lying in Alexander Payne's The Holdovers, which is nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars. You can follow him on X, read his poetry and musings on his website, and stream his music. There's also a TikTok account that claims to be his official account, but it links out to a merch store that I couldn't verify, so I'm not so sure about that. That's it for today. As always, more information, including sources and further reading, is available in the usual place.